Oh, get this chair out of here. Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Folger's virtual lesson for April 21. Are you tired? I'm tired. Oh, it's just like the rain too isn't helping. You know what I mean? Like the rain. It's. Do you know I wish I wasn't in rain. I wish it was warm. I wish I could go in the country. I got my Xenoblade background here. I wish I was in this field. I wish I was in like a field of just beautiful. You know what I mean? Hold on a sec. Like a field like this, guys. This is how I want to be. Look. Hey, I'm over here. I'm in the field. Woo! This is. I want to be here. I don't want to be out in the rain. You know. We need good weather. Yeah. All right. So back to business. Ryan Standard knows what Xenoblade is. Cheers to you, sir. It is. It's an old game from like going back. We're talking like Wii era. You know what I'm saying? The Nintendo Wii. That's right. The rain is cool though. You're gonna have to explain a little bit more on that one, Mark. I'm not really sure why the rain is cool. You mean in temperature-wise? Because you're right. The rain is kind of cool. It's chilly. I like that. Hi, Allie Gilroy. How are you? I see you, Allie. Bro, I'ma buy Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Oh, good for you, Rob. You do you, brother. It's good. It's delicious. That is not true, Steven. I'm not a big Wii fan, but I do like this Xenoblade background, so there you go. When will we be doing Vietnam Music Project? GD, it's every day, man. It's every day. Friday. We're going to be doing Vietnam tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we'll do the music portion and get copyrighted claimed. It'll be fun. Christian, hello, fellow humans. Thank God, Christian. I thought for a second maybe you weren't human, but now I know because you said fellow humans, so it all makes sense now. 38 people watching. We could do better. Come on, guys. We could do better. Look at my shirt. The collar is disappearing on me. I'm gonna button this up here. Xenoblade does Final Fantasy right. Yeah. What else you got? I'm not human. Well, that's okay, James. Final Fantasy VII Original has 5 discs. I'm never going to finish it. That's true. It does. I remember when I bought it when I was a kid. Hey, yay, copyright. That's true. Yay. Yay. We're going to do some copyright stuff today, too, Steven. So we're going to be watching a TED Talk. And it's about the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis, which is a serious crisis. That's why it's called Crisis. How's everyone doing? We got one extra person, 39 people. I think that's pretty good. So a couple things I want to announce for today is, hold on. There, can you hear that? No? Good. That's just for me. All right, so check this out. Mrs. H wanted me to announce to you guys. Right here, I'm gonna make Mr. Volger little teeny Mr. Volger. Here we go, Mr. Volger. You're woo. Oh, there we go. All right, so Mrs. H's Zoom office hours. Apparently, you guys have a project also in English class, right? Which is awesome. And so in English class, Mrs. H is giving some Zoom office hours today, like Tuesday. We're hot on the press, okay? And so 10:30, right after this virtual lesson, Mrs. H is going to be doing her Zoom hours for period 5. 11 is period 6, and 11:30 is period 4. I don't know why she went out of order. Why don't you ask her that on the Zoom hour? That could be one of your questions, because all questions about your English project can be answered at Mrs. H's Zoom office hour meetings. I believe if you're curious on like how to get into the Zoom, she will be posting the information on your Google Classroom, so check that out. If you don't have Mrs. H, then you can still visit. I mean, why not, Allie? Go say hi to Mrs. H. She probably knows who you are, you know? I believe she had your sister, so there you go. Oh, she did that because period 4 was 10. Oh, and I'm at 10. That makes perfect sense, Robert. Thank you for sharing that. Boom, boom, boom. So there you go. Mrs. H's office hours. Questions about your project? I don't think I need. We don't need. Like, this is enough for us. We don't need to have. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't. Like, let's be serious here. We don't need to. Right? We don't need to meet. Right? We don't need to have Zoom office hours. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look me in the face. Look me in the face and tell me that we need to have Zoom office hours for the Social Studies Cold War research project that needs to happen this week, which is going to be awesome and epic and amazing. You tell me that we need to have. I don't think we do, but if you do, I'll listen and we'll make that happen. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, back to reality. Dante, it's good to see you, sir. I was stuck in the nether, and yeah, please, yeah, all right, whatever. So today we're gonna be doing all things good, Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis, which, if you guys don't know, is a crisis of sorts. All right, so there you go. Just be aware of that it is a serious crisis. It's not good. It happens during the Cold War at the end of the 1950s and the early 60s, and it's a serious deal. Kind of like this pandemic is a crisis, you know? I'm just saying. Just saying. Next time you're in a crisis, do you know what you need to do? You need to go to the field of calm. Hi. Do you feel calm in the field of calm? I feel better, don't you? All right, let's get to work now. All right, you guys ready? Any questions before I get started? I'm going to pause the chat in a few minutes, so if you have any questions on topic, please jump on in. Today's video lesson, if you're might not be posted right away after this video, because I am showing a TED Talk. And so what I think I'm going to do to help with copyright is I'm going to edit this video, I'm going to show it at the end, and I'm going to cut it out for the people who don't see it live. So if you see it live, amazing. If you don't, you might miss out a TED Talk. I will put it in the description so you can link on it. So if you're watching this right now, definitely look in the description of the video, and I will put the TED Talk link, and so that you can watch it. In fact, let's do that right now so I do not forget, right? I got the TED Talk link here. We'll copy that and we will post that right into the video. Watch this TED Talk about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Am I the only one who struggles how to spell missile? Right? Who knows how to spell missile? I always leave off the second I. It's ridiculous. But I have a problem with words. My wife will tell you. I say thicker bush instead of sticker bush, and she makes fun of me. It's really embarrassing. We're going to keep moving. I said a corvid instead of COVID. It's true. I did that on this lesson. Kanye. TED is a guy who talks a lot. So there you go. Yeah. All right. It stands for Technology Education Development, something like that. We're thinking. What does TED stand for in TED Talk? All right, we go. What does TED stand for in TED Talk? Technology, Entertainment, Design. There you go. See, I answer questions. All right, you guys ready? I'm going to pause the chat now, and we're going to get into the lesson. It's going to be a short one today. Here we go. Chat is paused. So today we're going to be learning about the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis. Which, yeah. All right, so the Bay of Pigs. The who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and the result, right? So let's magically walk me over here. Bay of Pigs, right? So we're talking about the United States, President John F. Kennedy, right? We're talking about Cuba and Fidel Castro. One thing you have to understand with the Cold War is we're trying to fight the spread of communism. That's what we talked about yesterday with the domino theory and MAD. We've been talking about just how capitalism and communism don't really mesh well together. And so this is all going to start with this idea. So if you go over here to a Google, if you go over here to Google Earth, do we have a Google Earth? Let's go here and let's go to Maps. Google Maps. Good old-fashioned Google Maps. Now let's zoom out. Woo! Right, we're zooming out. There we go. Planet Earth is right here. Let's get a nice satellite picture, huh? There we go. So if we zoom in here, all right. So here's the United States. We're trying to stop the spread of communism. Now, communism is all above my hand here, right? It's China, right, which is right there, and it's Russia, which is right over here. This whole area is Russia right here. And so that right, the Cold War is spreading in Asia. But we are over here on the other side, right? We're on the Western Hemisphere. And if you zoom into the United States, one of the closest countries to us is this large island south of Florida, right here. And it's called Cuba. And Cuba, I know the Center Merchants kids went on a field trip to Cuba a couple years ago, which is amazing, right? But Cuba becomes communist during the 1950s. There's a revolt. Fidel Castro and his communist supporters overthrow the capitalist government in Cuba, and Cuba becomes capitalist. And it makes sense in Cuba, honestly, for a lot of reasons. One, Cuba is a very poor country, and the number one industry that they have is tourism from America coming to Cuba, right? Like the other Caribbean islands. You guys know this. You've been on cruises. If you haven't, go on a cruise. Not now, though. Like after the pandemic. And so it's important to kind of realize that Cuba makes sense because a lot of people are poor. They're not wealthy. They're suffering in Cuba. And so communism the socialist, right, ticks that box in Cuba. Helps the average person. To a degree. Obviously, some people are going to suffer from this. Well, the United States, this is a huge embarrassment to the United States, right? Because we're right here. We're right above them. And we're trying to stop the spread of communism in Korea. We're trying to stop the spread of communism in Vietnam. We're trying to stop the spread of communism all the way on the other side of the earth. And yet, one of our neighboring countries, one of our neighbors, right in our backyard is becoming communist. And we don't like that. And so right away, John F. Kennedy is going to immediately take measures to try to stop this embarrassment of us trying to stop communism, but yet a country right next door to the greatest country in the world, the greatest capitalist country in the world, is becoming communist. And so this is going to lead us into the Bay of Pigs invasion, okay? All right, so the what? U.S. attempt to overthrow Castro, right? Fidel Castro is the communist leader, and the United States right away is going to attempt to stop them because we can't have this embarrassment in our backyard. Where? Well, this is going to be at a beach. You got to love beaches. Called the Bay of Pigs. That's why it's called the Bay of Pigs. It's actually, my understanding is it was where boats would come in with pigs to slaughter at this beach. So they would drop pigs off and goats and cows into Cuba at this beach. And so the beach, what happened is some of the pigs escaped, and then the beach had wild pigs running around. And so they nicknamed the beach the Bay of Pigs, which is pretty cool. If I got that right, I might have got that wrong, but I think that's right. And in April 1961, basically we're going to establish a revolt. We're going to support the CIA, right? Is going to support Cubans who do not like communism, and we're gonna bring them to America. We're gonna give them American weapons. We're gonna train them, and then we're gonna send them back to Cuba to start a revolution to overthrow the communist government. And when we send them back to Cuba, they're gonna make landfall at this place called Bay of Pigs, and this is going to take place in April 1961. All right. Why we did this to stop the spread of communism, and of course the result is a huge issue for the United States. It's going to be a complete disaster. We're going to fail at it, okay? So basically what happens here, it says if you look at this little arrow on the bottom, it says U.S.-backed invasion. So what we're going to do is we're going to send these rebels all the way into Guatemala. We're going to get Guatemalans, Honduras, Nicaragua. Right, we're going to get people from the Caribbean islands, and we're all going to zoom in here to the Bay of Pigs for this revolution. And the CIA does it, and everything's great. Everything's on point. We're going to overthrow Castro. Here are some pictures of the people we're training. There's Castro, right? He's a young guy back then, by the way. He died recently. It was only like 10 years ago the guy died. So with the Bay of Pigs, what happens that makes it a disaster is there's a spy in the CIA or in the training facility, and Fidel Castro knows what we're planning. And so when these rebels show up at the beach at the Bay of Pigs, the Cubans are waiting with their military, and they slaughter them. They arrest most of them. They kill a bunch of others. It is and everyone knows the United States planned it, and it is complete embarrassment for the United States. We tried to sneaky take over Cuba and get rid of communists. It backfires. We lose. No Americans are hurt, right? Because we trained the Cubans to do it, but they're immediately captured. It's really not a threat to Castro at all. There's barely even a battle. It's basically just a slaughter and an arrest. Castro is angry. It proves to the world that America is intervening in these countries when we shouldn't be. Castro immediately reaches out to the Soviet Union and says to the Soviet Union, look, America is trying to take us over. Look at the Bay of Pigs. We need support. We need Soviet soldiers in Cuba protecting Cuba from the United States. You can see where this is going, right? And this is going to lead us into the Cuban Missile Crisis. So the Soviets are going to respond by putting ICBMs, right? And basically right here, IRBMs and MRBMs, that stands for like the range of the missile. So an ICBM is an international continental ballistic missile. So this is talking about this is intermediate range ballistic missile. But the point is that all of these missiles that they're going to put onto Cuba and Soviet aircraft are going to be able to attack and hit the United States because they're right next door to the United States. So they put nukes in Cuba that technically could hit Washington, D.C., which is unacceptable. Hence why we call this a crisis. And do you know what you do during a crisis, right? You go to the field and you relax. You gotta take a deep breath. And you say, don't worry about the crisis. Unfortunately for us, though, Kennedy did not have that ability. So, yeah, Kennedy, he had a problem with the crisis. All right, moving on. So now immediately comes in this cartoon, right, where you have Nikita Khrushchev, the premier of the Soviet Union, and you have John F. Kennedy, the president of the United States. And they're now playing this game. You can see Kennedy right here. His finger's about to push the button, and he's going to blow up the bomb that Nikita Khrushchev's on. And Nikita Khrushchev has a button right here, if you can see it, and he's going to blow up the bomb that we're on. Again, this is referring to MAD, mutually assured destruction, and the Cuban Missile Crisis is taking us close to that moment where we're actually going to launch nukes against each other. So Kennedy now he's defensive. Kennedy's like, yo, I listened to the military, I listened to the CIA with the Bay of Pigs, and it was a disaster. So the military is like, we need to strike Cuba. We need to invade Cuba. We need to get these Soviet missiles out of Cuba immediately. And Kennedy disagrees. Kennedy's like, I listened to you at the Bay of Pigs. It was a disaster. We're going to kind of do my own thing. And so basically he creates a naval blockade. He creates a U.S. Navy is going to create a blockade around the island of Cuba, stopping all future Soviet ships from entering or leaving Cuba. All ships heading towards Cuba stopped and searched. They're looking for military weapons and missiles and things like this. Kennedy ordered that the Army and the Navy have to have nuclear weapons ready to defend the United States. So we go up to a higher DEFCON, meaning that the United States is going to be ready to launch a nuke at any moment. And yeah, by the way, we knew they had missiles in Cuba because we were taking pictures of Cuba via spy planes, and we saw pictures of different areas of Cuba that had missiles. So it wasn't like the Russians or the Cubans said, hey, America, we have missiles. We found out by taking pictures via our spy planes. So the crisis. On October 28th, Soviet ships were only 30 minutes from the blockade. Nikita Khrushchev ordered the ships to turn around, avoiding conflict. This was a major victory for Kennedy. This is scary because we have Soviet ships saying that we're not going to allow America to board our ships and search them. And they're heading towards the blockade. And they're only 30 minutes away. And Kennedy's saying, well, we're not going to let your ships through. And the Soviets are saying, well, if you search your ships, it's an act of war. And we're literally 30 minutes from World War III. And right before it happens, Khrushchev orders his ships to turn around. And World War III is averted, and Kennedy looks like he's a genius, even though in reality, you know what I'm saying? Like in reality, it's scary because in reality, we came really close to World War III. Like they literally got on the radio and was like, if World War III is going to happen, it's going to happen on October 28th in the afternoon. Super scary. My mom tells me stories when she was a kid in school in the 1960s where they were very aware of this and they were very scared, you know. So we're skipping question today, so I'm skipping that. All right, I'm going to open the chat up before we watch our TED Talk. Yeah, talk about Kennedy's presidency. Can we talk about Kennedy's presidency here for a second? Like, let's have a heart-to-heart here. Like, Kennedy's presidency, not a good presidency. I feel bad for the guy, right? He becomes president. In his first year, he has the Bay of Pigs invasion, complete disaster. Then he has the Cuban Missile Crisis, super high stress. World War III almost happens. Yes, Kennedy comes out a hero, but my lord, I mean, so stressful. And then, of course, he's going to ultimately be assassinated like a year later. Super stressful, very sad, heart to heart, very sad. All right. Hey, Alex. So any questions about Cuban Missile Crisis before we watch our TED Talk? Mr. Volja, I don't really feel like anything. I think you need to get closer. If I got closer, my mouth would be in. I'd be like, "Rrr." Oh, I do have something I want to show you guys before we get started today. Before we watch the TED Talk, I mean. Let's check this out. You guys asked for a little tour of the workstation, so here's your tour. Hold on. JJ toys up here on the floor. And so this is my basement right here. It's my little workbench. This is where I work out during this whole quarantine. Though I have to work out more. But I got my bicycle. Yo, that's my workout area. JJ Epic. Toys up here on the floor. And then here's the work area. And this is the workstation. Look at the magic, man. Look at that. Double monitor. That's where all the lessons happen, right there. I'm in the basement. Yeah, my wife sticks me in the basement. She doesn't want this funny business upstairs. You know what I'm saying? All right, so this when I'm teaching, this is what I'm looking at. Right, I got my mic and my camera. That's what I'm looking at when I'm teaching you guys. Right there.
Right there. Check it out.
That's the look. That's what I'm looking at right now. Okay.
And here's the chat.
There's the chat. Hi, chat.
All right. See you guys soon.
By the way, can we go back to that cow picture? Look at this cow picture. That's a custom cow picture right there, guys. I made that cow picture. Me and my wife painted. She painted that, but I hung it. Look at that. It's a great cow picture. And these photographs over here on the wall, right here, those photographs were taken, I believe, by my brother-in-law when he went to Indonesia. A lot of Volger history going on up in this room. You can see it in the basement. So there you go. There's the workspace video that you guys all wanted. No, I don't have a gaming channel. I don't. Tyler, I would get in trouble. Like if I streamed one video that like a parent or someone was like, oh, that's inappropriate. Like I'm a teacher. I have higher standards. So I can't just do a gaming channel. It's not how it really works. Music is quite loud. Oh, it is now, right? There we go. Thank you, sir. Alex, always got my back. All right, you guys ready for your TED Talk? Are there still pigs at the beach to this day? That is a phenomenal question. I don't know. I don't know. Let's go to Google, right? When you have questions like these, Google really has an answer, right? So let's go Bay of Pigs today. Let's see what it looks like. I don't know. I'm gonna screen the pictures first. Hold on. Let's go back to my beautiful background. Let me screen the pictures first before I get a picture of the Bay of Pigs. Yeah, I think there is. I think there are Bay of Pigs today. Apparently pigs are like a popular thing in the Caribbean. I'm going to show you a picture. You ready? Oh, it's adorable. These are adorable piggies. Almost there. Hold on. So here's an actual, I'm just making sure nothing inappropriate's on the screen. Then we're going to come back over here. So here's an actual bit, like, you can see the Bay of Pigs, right? That's what the Bay of Pigs looks like today. And then you can see some pictures of actual pigs in the water, which is funny. So, I don't know. I find that adorable. I don't know about you guys, but that's adorable. I know, right? Nothing. Pigs are gross, but like that's because they're muddy. When they're swimming, it's adorable. All right, so by the way, period 5. If you are currently, if we go back up top, right? Period 5, Mrs. H, 10:30. So you're 5 minutes late. Get there. Get to her meeting. It's not mandatory, by the way, but get there. Period 6 is 11. Period 4 is 11:30. If you have questions about your project, pretty cool. All right, so let's watch the TED Talk. I'm going to mute the background music, and we're going to watch the TED Talk here. Here we go. So if you're watching this live, I'm going to be editing the video. This will be the end of the video right now. I mean, if you're watching this pre-recorded. If you're watching it live, you're going to get to see the TED Talk. Here we go. You ready? Mute my music.